Welcome everybody to our team building session. Today we're starting day 2. It's 8:35 a.m. NOLA o'clock. Early. Rise and shine. The early bird catches the worm. We're here to build teams, and I hope last night was a good start to get you going.
Thank you, Lars. And I'm going to try my best to spice things up a lot more than basic potato. So hello, everyone. I'm Sonali Keshwamurthy, and I'm from Bangalore, India, but I'm also a member as well as a staff in the Melton Foundation. I work as the program manager. So it's an absolute pleasure to be here with you. And I'm a little bummed out that we've not had a chance to meet before this because I'm completely on the other end of your time zone. So it's 7:20 at evening here for me. But I'm really happy that we have this hour together and to work with you a little bit today as we kind of go through the flow of what are teams. I know we all have an idea of what teams are, what teamwork is, but really get a little bit deeper into it and also start to kind of build those inner mechanisms that will make us function well in these teams. That's pretty much what we're going to do today, and I'm happy to facilitate this with the rest of my wonderful colleagues and organizers. And I encourage you to bring yourself to this session, and I'm sure Lars gave you quite some nice Zoom and virtual engagement pointers yesterday, so I won't go too much into that, and we can jump right into it. Okay. So I think I'm not too sure if you'll all know each other already away from, this Tech Tap. Maybe you'll have seen each other in passing, and maybe now you're from the same group. But when we look at teamwork, there is a big difference from being just a group of people trying to do something and a team that is actively working together as a well-oiled machine trying to accomplish a goal. If there's a background noise, I'm really sorry. Somebody seems to be moving something on the floor above. That is not me. Okay, coming back to teams. So it might be really obvious at the start, like what are the essential parts of teamwork? But in reality, there are some aspects that are kind of at the surface level, like, each team should have some goals. There are some roles that have to be filled. There is kind of planning. But then there is also the deeper level of teamwork, which is where we bring our individuality to it. What are our strengths? What are our values or purposes? What are our personal agendas? Or maybe what is something we struggle with as a challenge? And all of this also plays an important role in teamwork. And that's something that we will unpack today through our exercises here. And you will hopefully use a lot of what we discussed today also in your personal and professional lives going forward. So don't think of this as just for the NOLA Tech Tap, but also as it's just like a good fun learning experience for all. Okay, I have a question for you all. If you had to give teams kind of an analogy, like the life cycle of teams, what would you relate it to? It's a very broad question, but think out of the box, be creative. Maybe we'll take 1 or 2 answers. Soup was one analogy, so we're done with that. Let's not think of soup anymore. What else could it possibly be?
It's I haven't had any breakfast, okay? It's just the matcha tea. So I think about plants. I think about, when you have a blossom, or please correct me if I'm not saying it right, because it's like a cycle that it's a process that kind of brings out the best out of you, or not necessarily the best, but you get to have like a stage and you get to work for a common goal. And then you need to evaluate, and it comes out again. It's like, like a plant that blossoms in spring, and then the seeds are planted again, and it goes on and on. And And yeah, I think it's like that. You get energy from outside, you get energy from the soil, from inside, and then you get to shine a little bit, and then it comes out, like it starts again.
Yeah.
That will be a little bit my my
That's
analogy.
perfect. Thank you so much, Giza. I think would anyway, and I think you explained it really well, because you've also spoken about internal factors, but also the external factors, right? So actors and factors involved in teams. So thank you for sharing that example. Would anyone quickly like to take another stab at it? Yep, Alafia, go right ahead.
All right. So I think of teamwork as like the parts of a car. Each of the parts has its own value, its own, its own thing that it does, right? But when they come together, that's when the car moves. So I think of teamwork as the car. All of us bring our individual parts, our individual roles, our individual skills. And then when we put them all together, we go.
Exactly. I think that also is a fantastic example. And there are plenty, right? Anything can be teamwork. And something that hits close to home is also our life cycles. So teams in general also have life cycles, like Giza said initially, with plans. And if we think of us as humans and how we progress through life, that's very similar to how teams progress through life as well. We start off in childhood. And if you think back at your childhood or your toddler days, I have a toddler who's hidden away right now, so I can work. So it's a little close to home, but they are extremely dependent. So when group starts, and this is something that we call as the forming stage, everybody in the group craves for inclusion, right? You want to belong. You need to depend on each other to function really well. And you're also playing nice. You're putting your best foot forward, trying to get to know people. You don't kind of raise too much concerns, like similar to a child. They might cry for something, but at the end of the day, they do need their parents at that stage to really care for them. So that's the starting of teamwork in the life cycle span. And then what comes after, you grow up, there's this really fun stage of being a teenager, where that's where these emotions bubble up, or you're kind of ready for the world, but you're not yet. So this is the stage that we call as the counter dependency stage. So there's or the storming, there's some few conflicts that are arising. There is some counter dependency. Oh, I'm doing this, but I want to do this. Or, oh, I'm doing so much, you're doing so less, things like that will come up. And once we're through this stage, I think all of you all are, there is a little bit of like a calming stage. So this is what we call norming, which is like the adulthood, where we as humans also start to find our proper footing. We know what we kind of like, or what we do. We know our surroundings, our societies, our communities, and also our role in it. And similarly, that's what happens in teams. This is when team members start to work together efficiently. So they started off, well, and then there was a little bit of humps and bumps, and now we're back to being and functioning like a well-oiled machine. And finally, the life cycle will wrap up with the maturity stage. And that's also where the peak performance happens. So things are finally figured out. You've ironed out all the little humps and kinks, and you know what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, where other people can assist you, how you can assist other people. And that's where things kind of start to go smoothly. So to wrap up this topic of the life cycle of teams, I would encourage you, as in any teams, not only here, to not get stuck with those first two stages, right? Because you need to get through the challenge of things. You need to get through being, comfortable in the uncomfortable a little bit, until you can get to working together really effortlessly and efficiently. And if you don't focus enough time and effort to resolve, some of these conflicts that may arise initially, you will never get to the next two stages, or the last two stages where the peak performance is happening. So that's my encouragement today. This is a very short event, 48 hours. So maybe there won't be a lot of conflicts, but in life and in other teams, as you're going to the professional world, this is something that you can take with you as well. Now, to kind of, I don't want to summarize what I just said. I think I will invite you to summarize that. I will request Lars to put you all in breakout groups, so you'll also get a chance to talk amongst each other. Otherwise, we're talking too much at you. And your activity for the breakout groups is to reflect on the word team, right? And form one sentence to summarize what team means to you in your breakout group, like as a combination of people. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 innovators. Lars, how would you like to set up the breakout room?
You know, I thought we mix it up, break it up, as we say, breakout rooms, 2 and 2, randomly assigned. So don't get mad at me. I hope Zoom does the good choice. And whenever you're ready, Sonali just pasted the instruction once more in the chat. To be sure, you may want to copy it across or take a quick note. We'll bring you back in 2 to 3 minutes. From the breakout rooms. So take the opportunity, get to know each other. Remember, introduce yourselves if you don't know each other yet or haven't met yet before, and then get this conversation going. And whenever we come back, we'll be looking forward to hearing a very, very, very small and short synthesis of the conversation. All right, yo, on we go, opening up all rooms, and see you on the other side. Thank you. Excellent, and welcome back, everyone. It's good to have you back. How did this go? So 2 breakouts, 2, I would imagine, very profound conversations in 3 minutes. Jokes aside, but who would want to give us a quick snapshot, a quick synthesis of what you've been talking about and what that is that the team means to you, so to say?
Okay, so I'll go first. In our group, David and I discussed the idea of team, of course, meaning, the cliche acronym, together everyone achieves more. But as we talk about the Ideathon, it's more of, everyone coming together with our individual goals and innovations to make the city, the state, and the world better.
Oh, wow. I'm glad we're recording this. Thank you so much, Team 1. Now, Team 2, I'm setting the bar back to 0. So whatever the conversation was, it will be just as good, very different, maybe. Curious to hear, David no, hold on. Now I'm probably missing up the group. Second group, who was not with Jamira, please go right ahead.
I'm gonna give it mostly to Hannah, because we were kind of talking about a lot of what a team is. And I kind of thought about that a team is a group of people that share a common goal. And like with the Ideathon, we're all here because we are interested in innovation. We want to create some change where we are, specifically, I think, for a lot of us in Louisiana. And Hannah brought up the fact that a team is typically going to be people taking their own experiences and creating something that's more than the sum of their parts. So we kind of married those 2 things together and said that a team is people taking their own experiences and moving towards a common interest of creating something that's more than the sum of their parts.
Wow, fantastic, fantastic. Well, again, I'm glad we're recording this. I will take this up into my notes. Congratulations to the 2 of you. You've both accomplished that exercise, and I'm sure you'll also be successful by our first deadline coming up at 1 p.m. today, when you actually have to sign up your innovation team. And yes, when we talk about teams, defining team culture, you may have already watched the Impulse video, and we talk about, interest groups and teams. There is a difference. Interest group has something in common, yes, of course, and team has not just something in common, but there's also codes and conducts and agreements. And like you all said, the understanding that you're in it together, and together you want to achieve something or achieve more. Connect yourself. So thinking of, what is a great team culture? And there's, of course, a lot of research, a lot of work that's been done to look into different components. And to be a little more abstract, there's two factors that tend to be, you know, standing out eventually and essentially. One is a sustainable creative culture, and B, it's high performing standards. So it comes with, you know, the goals that you set, the task work, and B, also how you engage with each other, the people, hence the people work or the teamwork. And pretty much kind of in a nutshell, if you look at, you know, great team culture, it is a mix of purpose, what brings you all together in that space. It comes with openness, so that, and Adrienne, you mentioned this kind of also, we're different, and it's great, that's good, because that's where, you know, fresh ideas can emerge. Openness, listen in, kind of work these different perspectives in, and mastery, because of course, I mean, a team is fine, is at its best when you actually achieve these goals together, and together it will be better than if you were alone. So hence, kind of, if you keep this in mind, I think you're really, really, really in a good place. And this, you know, also as we're kind of moving into the team agreement, which is part of the session, we will introduce this shortly. I just want to mention that in any team, it's important to keep in mind that a team is not just an assembly of parts. And Adrienne, also you mentioned this, it's the sum of its parts. So there is always an individual level. So each of us have, you know, expectations, our agendas, skills, and assets that we bring. And at the same time, we have, you know, weak spots, needs, and there's, you know, sometimes, well, in the morning, if I didn't have my coffee, I might be grumpy, but that doesn't mean, you know, that I don't like the people. It's just me, that's me that I'm bringing. And there's always, and this combination of me's, so to say, kind of brings that common level together, where if we can gel around goals, around roles, around purposes, and have values and norms together, then these different me's can actually become we's, or become a we, and get to that space where, as a team, you may be very different, but you have a common purpose and can work towards and achieve that goal that you've set each other, because that's what connects you, that's what combines you. And if you keep that in mind, I think you're in a really, really good place to work in the maximum diversity and get these fresh and different perspectives going and come to different kind of solutions. And that's what we're here to do. And I guess with that said, I'm just very curious, very quickly, we're still part of this team formation process. We will take a look at the team canvas very quickly. But before we do that, goal is that we start to, if you're already in groups, or if you're already in this team formation process here, so if you're here with people that you would want to work with, you would be working with that group, so you can take this opportunity and work through the team canvas. Remember, that is one of the deliverables that you will be submitting by 1 p.m. as part of the team sign up. And if you're not quite there yet, that's also fine. We can give an introduction, kind of, we do a little bit of dry swimming if you want, go over the canvas so that you know how to do this, so that once you're at this stage, you can go back and pretty much whip it out quite quickly, because it can be done a very long process, but it also can be done fairly quickly. Important is that it's done well and intentionally. So before I hand over to Sonali for an introduction to the tool itself, I would like to do a quick around the room with our 4 innovators, Jamira, Adrienne, David, and Hannah, just to get a sense of how you're currently doing, if you've already identified people that you'd want to work with, or you'd be working with, or if you're still in this process of still sourcing. How does that look? If you don't mind, I'll go alphabetically backwards. So I guess that's Jamira first, I hope.
Well. You know what? I'm just going to go first from now on, okay? So don't worry about it. I'll just go first. Well, originally Adrienne and I were working together. I don't know. There are so many to choose from. So I'm very excited of working with the innovators, but I just don't know who would, want to work with us, and, if they want to work with us, and to see how we work together. So it's still an iffy process.
All right, all right. I'll talk to that very quickly, but let's go around the room first. So thank you for going first, Myra. I think Hannah is second in the alphabet backwards. So Hannah, if you don't mind giving us a quick snapshot of how your team formation is coming along, that would be great.
I spoke to a couple of people on the Slack page, and so nothing like formal, and I don't see any of those people here right now. So I guess I feel a little bit of two minds where I have people that I'm interested in doing the same area of focus of innovation with them, but I'm also not tied directly to that, and I don't want to be left doing all the work, I guess, is my my big fear for team projects. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Hannah, and great points here, and I'm taking notes as we speak, because I'll talk to that after that. Amazon, welcome to the call. We are just checking in on how the team formation process been going so far. So the question to you, I'll give you one little pause, one little rest before I come back to you. But the question is, have you already spoken to people? Have you already identified? Are you already kind of in this process of actually grouping people around a common area, a common interest? We'll get to that in a second, Amazon, but let's go with David first, and then Amazon, I would come back to you.
Yesterday I spoke on Slack, like when we got into circles and kind of, talked to people that I want to get in a group with, and I pretty much have an idea of what I want to do, who I want to group up with.
Very cool. Do you want to spill some beans in terms of your successful grouping people around or connecting people in a common goal or a common purpose?
Not necessarily. I don't really have anything else to say,
Fair enough. Fair enough. Awesome, cool. Well then, David, congratulations. That's really good news. That's exciting. Emerson, if that's okay with you, we're doing the alphabet backwards. So I'm calling you out now with a quick update on how you're in this process of team formation, team building that we're currently in.
Well, first off, good morning, everybody. I'm sorry for joining a little late, but I did talk to a few people on Slack yesterday, and I did talk to a few of my classmates that are CS majors that wanted to join in. I heard that they could join in before we could build a team before 1 p.m. That should be all right, but I don't know if they signed up yet. So I would say I don't have a team. I did talk to one person yesterday, and she did say that she would like to team up, but that's just two of us. So I'm looking for more people as we speak right now.
Fantastic. Well, there's more people in this room, very clearly. Adrienne, how's that for you? I know Jamara already mentioned you, so we're closing the circle off, but you're only two. You're missing at least one person. So over to you, Adrienne.
I know. I think originally, I think Jamar and I kind of came in thinking about like what could we do where we could incorporate what we kind of know and love, which is esports. And going into Wonder and like also talking to people in Slack has kind of also like broadened that, and I'm now also becoming like interested in trying other things that I'm not really familiar with, because I'm just like, this seems really important, this seems really cool and interesting. So not like tied to anything or anybody yet except Jamira. We're attached at the hip. But I've been at least enjoying hearing about like other people's ideas, why they're passionate about it and things like that. And it's kind of like pulling me in all these different directions. So I'm a little confused. So I need to get organized and structured. So yeah.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much, everyone. And you know, this is and we said it yesterday, you know, innovation processes are messy, they're confusing, they tend to be frustrating, especially this early stage where you're still getting to know each other, where you're still kind of figuring out, you know, dear me, what do people actually want? What do I want? How can I contribute to something that is, you know, bigger than myself, and kind of brings kind of this being part of the sum of beyond the sum of its parts. So I think in that space, maybe just two things that came up. And one thing is kind of this, how to meet people. And of course, you know, we're all digital natives or migrants in our way. So we're quite familiar with the digital space. And at the same time, it is not easy to make meaningful connections in that space. Hence also, and this is an invitation, as we're still in this team building, team forming, grouping around interest space, our wonder is still open, and it's really depends on everybody's proactivity. You have in our shared folder, there's a participants directory with a lot of information about the people who are part, the challenges they've been addressing, the skills that they bring or can contribute also to a team. And also on Slack, there's a designated channel for team formation. So my suggestion, if you're still kind of in this space, or if you're, from what I'm hearing, most of you are still in the space, get active there and shout it out and say, hey, we're doing this. Anybody wants to join? Just, you know, making some noise as you would in real life. You know, it's thinking of this is a networking event. We would probably run over to people, just pitch here and there, do this and this and that. So in a way, kind of transcending this into the digital space is probably the best that you can do currently to get people interested, or make people aware of what you're here for, what your passion is, get people interested maybe in your idea that you have, or in the cause that you're representing. And at the same time, if other people have something where they said, oh, interesting, don't be married to your own idea, but really also be open, say, hey, let's have a conversation. You know, I'm thinking that you're bringing this, where can we meet this? I mean, it's complementary in a way, or we should connect one way or the other. So in that space, that's why there's still a few hours on this on the clock until the first deadline to sign up teams. So that is certainly something. And the other thing, Hannah, that you mentioned is super important. I mean, teams is not, you know, one does the work. It's you're together. What was the team acronym? Together we achieve more, or something. Together everyone achieves more. Here we go. So it's not, you know, one does the work and the others kind of earn the applause or harvest the fruit. That's exactly why also Sonali is going to present the team canvas now, which has kind of also these hooks and anchors that together you define how you engage, how you divide your roles, and hold each other responsible. And I think with that, Sonali, maybe we do a quick run through over the canvas, and then clarify any questions that you may have, and throw everybody back into the team formation process. And hopefully make some noise, bring everybody on this team formation channel, and get this going as we speak. So Sonali, over to you.
Thank you, Lars. And I think you've set us up really well as to why we need this tool, because we know that we need to kind of all get onto the same page. So we're going to look at a little bit about how we use the tool. To start with, I'm going to share my screen, and maybe I can get a thumbs up if you're able to see the screen. Yep, all good. So this is your shared event folder, right? And in that, if you go to folder number 1, it says team formation and building. In that, there are 3 resources given, and we're going to the last one that says template team canvas basic. And I would encourage you to read the longer name of that, because this is an editable PDF. So once you form your teams, I request all of you to kind of nominate one person to replicate this template. You can do it very simply by right-clicking and then saying make a copy in the list that opens up. And once you make a copy, you can name it as per your team name or a unique name, so that you know that that's your copy and it's stored there. Or you can also download it onto your personal devices and then upload it again when you sign up your teams. Please do not edit this document directly, because then everybody else can see what you have done, which is fair. There is nothing to hide here, but then they would also again have to delete whatever you have done, and you might lose your information. So once we go into that document, it will open up this Team Canvas Basic. It's a very straightforward template. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you need more information, that's what we're going to use some time now to discuss. But once you have your team members, this is going to set you up to prevent any kind of challenges arising later on, or those small kind of conflicts as to, oh, what am I doing in this team, or what are our commitments as a team? How are we going to work together, right? So we can start with people and roles in the top left corner. So here you would basically list your names and then assign the roles that you have. You can go as deep as you would like, or put kind of generic roles as well. But we do encourage you to kind of hash out what your role would be, so that one person is not left doing everything, but really be strategic about it. Cater to kind of your skill sets. For example, if someone is really good with creativity or poster making or video making, maybe that's kind of their role, to kind of bring things together towards the end in your final submission. If someone's really good at communicating, they can be the main team lead, who's kind of linking the organizers with the team. There are various roles. There's no laundry list that we are providing, because each team is unique and there are different needs to each team. So make sure you all discuss that and hash that out. Once we go to kind of the roles, let's look at the values before we even look at kind of the goals, right? So the values are more intrinsic. What do we stand for? What are our guiding principles, or what are some of the common values that we want to be at kind of the core to the team? Like, we want to be respectful of each other. We want to have a diversity in opinions, in perspectives. We want to involve everyone in the conversation. These are values that are also core to the team. And then you can also look at values for your project idea. What is the message you kind of want to hit at that is deeper than just a goal? So think big, think out of the box, and set down your values over there. And those values will set you up quite well for your goals. What are you going to achieve together? And are these goals feasible? Can they be accomplished in kind of the time frame you're thinking of? You can use the SMART goals methodology. There are a lot of resources for this as well available as to how you set the goals. And make sure that the goals for the project are there, but also the goals to complete the Ideathon, right? All of you all have to still rally together to cross the finish line together without any stragglers behind. So we will be very kind. There is no harsh cutoff there, but those are some things to be incorporated into the goals. And using goals and values, we will also look at the purpose. Why are we doing what we're doing in the first place, right? What is this? Why are we all coming together? What is that intrinsic need going to lead to? It can be something really big, like, I want to save the world, but then also look at how, right? What is the small niche that maybe you can have an impact? What is your sphere of influence? And really the main purpose of your team coming together. And then we will go into a little bit of housekeeping. So what are some of the rules or the action points on the bottom right hand? There are also prompts under each of these tabs, so feel free to use them and establish some kind of rules that you will all abide by. And these rules are coming out of the team themselves. So it creates a more holistic, organic way of abiding by these rules and committing to these rules, because we're not going to give you the rules, you're going to come up with them yourselves. Very much similar also to life. We need to come up with our own rules sometimes. So this can be things like, how are you going to communicate? What are your primary channels for communication? Slack, WhatsApp, Zoom, I mean, there are several. So pick one, and then so that everybody can be active there, because it's also going to be 24 hours of this now from this point, I think, or a little bit more even. So everybody knows how to communicate. How do you make decisions? Is it more for voting? Is it consensus based? And also, how do you what are some of the rules to execute and evaluate what you do? How do you interact with each other, etc. So this is really completely open to all of you to establish, and it's really good to put it into writing because you know it's there. You've gone through this hard part. Think of this as like the stage 1 and stage 2 that you're kind of in the life cycle of teams that you're kind of like high jumping over because you're using this tool to kind of set you up for the next 2 stages. Don't want to take too much of your time now because I know y'all are all going to find your team members to work on this together. And as and when any questions do arise during the following stages, feel free to use the Slack group. All the organizers are there to help you out if anything is unclear. But before we go to Slack, I think we can open up the space for any questions with regards to this tool, and then Lars can bring us home with the final housekeeping in terms of submission of the teams, etc.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Sonali. And just a gentle reminder, you may have seen that Mickey is already making progress on the team channel. So take this as you're not the first one anymore. It's difficult to break the ice. The ice is broken. So take this forward. Wonderful. Thank you, Hannah. I see these messages coming. Go, go, go. That's the spirit. And thank you so much, Sonali. Remember, just one thing to remember, that this team canvas is a tool for you. As you're building this team, and hopefully also, again, the intention of this ideation marathon or innovation challenge is that, of course, we're here to come up with ideas, but hopefully, and that's really also what we're hoping to spark and plant the seeds. It doesn't stay at idea level, but carries on. That's why also the incentives, you know, the prize monies, etc., so that you have more resources even to work with and to put this into action. So hence, this would become a really valuable tool for you, for the project. And at the same time, our judges will be looking at it, and to also, because team diversity and how you also work and have worked in a team will be part of the assessment criteria. So doing this well means that you also signal to the evaluators in the end that yes, you spend intentional time on actually forming and building your team. So it's more than just a group. You're not herding cats, but you're in a team. And that's hopefully also addresses your concern, Hannah, that no, there should be, unless you say, okay, I do all the work and you just tag along, that's your agreement as a team. But unless that is the case, then everybody should know their rules, their place, their purpose in the team, because there is a greater purpose that connects all of you, and bring their mastery into this group. And again, the openness as a team to have each other's back and challenge each other, and, you know, be open to fresh ideas. Again, these are the 3 kind of primary criteria for efficient and high performing teams. I hope that was useful. Remember, 1 p.m. NOLA o'clock is the deadline. And before we close, actually, Alafia, if you're around, I know you have an announcement to make. So please, please, please go right ahead.
Yes, so the Innovation Lab is open, y'all. So let's take this virtual. If you want to do it in person, come on down. There's Wi-Fi, there's snacks, there's coffee, there's all the things. So if you'd like to take this virtual endeavor into a real space, we are here at Dillard University on the 1st floor of the PSB building, right next to the atrium. There is imagine that there is, let me get my Vanna White, here we go. There is a huge sign that says NOLA Tech Tap here. So I am right as soon as you enter to the left, the lights are on. I'm in the glass classroom. So if you'd like to come down to Dillard University and bring this Tech Tap experience into an in-person space, we are here.